Welcome to Selling in the Motor Trade, in association with Automotive Management and SMT. This is the weekly podcast where we share best practice, tips, and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your dealership or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bowkett, or some of you might already know me as Skippy. And firstly, I want to say thank you for taking the time to tune in. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Selling in the Motor Trade. Hey, listen, it's getting really tough with stock at the moment. I don't know what franchise you are, in fact, what country you're in, but I think everyone's affected by semiconductors. Whoever thought after COVID-19 we were going to go in and have struggle getting computer chips? Of course, the knock-on effect of that is used vehicles. If you're one of our clients listening in Ireland, there's been a further knock-on effect that, nothing's coming in after Brexit from the UK. So used car prices, that's silly. Everywhere, used car prices are going through the roof. In fact, in our Selling in the Online World training program, part of it, we always get delegates to go and have a look at their competition, see what's happening. And let me tell you, response times are getting worse. Digital inquiries, the way that we're dealing with them are getting worse. And in fact, I spoke to a lady called Deb Jenkins. She's my ghostwriter. So if you've read our book, I really struggled to write. So what I do is I spoke at her for about 3 or 4 months of my life. And she took our words and put them into something that made a bit of sense. But I was speaking to her recently. She wants to buy a EV vehicle. She's in Spain. And she said, you need to train in Spain. Because I tell you what, the actual way they've been dealt with is horrendous. Do you know how many emails we send out and people just don't bother getting back to you? I started explaining, you're right, Debs, that is horrendous. But what's happening is you're probably inquiring about cars that these salespeople know they can't get for a long time. Now, I'm not saying that's right. Okay, you still need to deal with people in the right way. But that's the issue that's happening at the moment because we can't get stock. Also, consequently, because stock's getting hard work, we're getting more and more inquiries from distance sales. Now, listen, we all know that used car inquiry, the further away that someone inquires on the used car, normally the hotter they are, okay? Because you know what, if you're in Edinburgh, someone's inquiring from Plymouth, okay? If you're not in the UK, that's a big old drive. Actually, no, it's not. Compared to Queensland, where I grew up, that's not a big drive at all. But it's still someone sitting in the car for 5-6 hours or something like that, probably more, 7 hours, okay, to get the car. So if someone's inquiring from that far away, of course, they're really, really hot. That's the car that they actually want. But actually at the moment, if they're inquiring that far away, you know what? They can't get any stock. So the first thing we've got to do is, and also, thankfully now that lots of customers know about these semiconductors, they've tried to buy cars and they know it's getting harder and harder. Oh, also, depending on which manufacturer you're with, depending on the conversations I've had with some OEMs, okay, is it going to be okay till first quarter in next year, so 2022? Hey, listen, I've got one German manufacturer said, you know what, next year it's going to be hard work all year. So the first thing is we got to make sure that customers are being really flexible on specification and colors. Now, again, you know that we have to do that. But today I want to talk about that new car customer. You're getting that new car customer that's inquiring a long way away. Now, traditionally, we'd just be going into, you know what, they're just a shopper. If they're calling from 2 hours away, 4 hours away, 7 hours away, you know what, they just want the price. They're going to go and beat up their local dealer. I'm going to do all the hard work. I'll do a see it now video for nothing. It's just a waste of my time. Now, there's some different ways you can deal with that customer. And that's why I want to kick around some ideas on at the moment because, hey, we're just going to get more and more of it. Remember, it's not always about price. If you get a long distance inquiry on new or used now, chances are it's probably about stock. Let's go down the price route first, okay? If they are that shopper, how do you deal with that customer? It's like you get an inquiry from a long way away, phone or email, just saying, hey, can you tell me what's the best price you can do on the latest Sportage, okay? The latest RAV4. And you start qualifying the customer. okay, and what they're looking for. If we just give these people the prices, they're just going to go and take that price and go back and give it to their local dealer. But if we don't give them prices, actually, what do they think of us? You got no chance of doing them a deal. So start off with, we got to find out why they're calling from such a long distance. Here's a few techniques. Here's the first one. It's a man called Tom Stiles. I learned this from years ago. Okay. Now, I've got to say, I find it's not as effective at the moment, but let me run through the technique. So someone calls from a long way away. You've qualified what they're looking for. Now, Tom would turn around and say, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, normally when someone phones me from that far away, they're just trying to keep their local dealer honest. Can't blame you. I'd be doing exactly the same thing. Is that what you're trying to achieve? And you know what? Every now and then you'll get a customer saying, yeah, you know what? I am just trying to keep my local dealer honest. Don't blame you. I do the same thing. Okay. Or every now and then you'll get someone saying, no, I'd never buy from my local dealer again. No chance. I bought my last car from him. It was in the workshop more than I had the car. I said, you know what? Never again. I actually want one of these Land Rovers, this Audi, but I'm not buying from my local dealer. At least now, you've got a fighting chance. Okay. But they say, yeah, I'm just trying to keep my local dealer honest. Okay, that's no problem. Listen, do me a favor. Tell me what price you got from your local dealer. I'll tell you if you've got a good deal. And every now and then people say, well, okay, I can get that car for a balance of X amount. Okay, I can get that car for so much a month. And every now and then they tell you the truth. You're right. I said that right. Every now and then they tell you the truth, because in my experience, lots of time, they'd still lie. They'd still say a figure that is less than you can buy it from. Okay. But they're a long way away. What do you do with it? Oh, here's the next thing. I get some salespeople say, hey, they're in my area. I've got lots of these cars. New cars are like sausages. They keep coming off the production line. Okay. Listen, I'll just go on a silly low price and I'll get it. Great. Yeah, you could do that, but still the chances of getting it are minimal. Okay. Here's another one you might want to try. I stole this technique from a man called Pat Casey. He runs a business in Brisbane, and he changes it slightly. Because, here's the next thing. If you ever ask the customer, what price have they got from their local dealer? What chance have you got of them telling you the truth? Yeah, quite slim. I think you got more chance of getting Prince Andrew on a flight to America at the moment. Sorry, that's probably not politically correct. But you know what, guys? It's just not going to happen. Okay? So what Pat will do is he'll change around. When someone calls from a long distance on a new car, bear in mind this is a new inquiry, he'll turn around and say something along the lines of, wow, that's a long way away. Is your local dealer not looking after you? Hey, is your local dealer not looking after you? Again, you're going to get two responses. Response number one might be, no, I'd never deal with my local dealer. Never again. I've been down there before. At least you've got a fighting chance. Or they might say, well, shopping around, there's lots of money. I want to make sure I'm getting the best deal. Yeah, I don't blame you. I do exactly the same thing. Then he changes it around. He'll turn around and say, hey, listen, how much better than your local dealer would I have to be to get you on to come to Tarpley to buy your new car? Hey, listen, how much better than your local dealer would I have to be? Notice he's not asking a customer, what deal have you got from your local dealer? Not at all. He's just saying, hey, listen, how much better than your local dealer would I have to be to get you on to come to Brisbane to pick up your new Isuzu D-Max? Okay. Because he changed it around, customers might tell you the figure. Listen, when I've tried this, okay, in the UK, people tend to tell you about £1,000 on a volume car. You go Prestige, it tends to be about 2.5. Now, I know some of you are screaming at me at the moment saying, yeah, but Simon, have you seen the margins in an IGO? We can't beat it by 1,000. I know. He's just using this to get the true figure that the customer's been offered elsewhere. So then he'll trial close them. Okay, sir, so if I could beat that price by €1,000, by $1,000, by £1,000, you'd be happy to come and buy that car from Brisbane. Can you hear now? Customers thinking, yeah, I'll do that. Great. Okay. Well, clearly I'm going to need an email with the figures you got just so I can go and show my boss and beat him up. So listen, what balance to change are they doing that IGO for? Or how much a month are they doing that IGO for? Or what price are they doing that IGO for? Because a customer thinks they're still going to get beaten by that $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000, I find they're more likely to tell you the true figure they got from someone else. Okay. Then also, okay, he'll try close. So if I can beat that by 1,000, you'd happy to buy from here? Yeah, of course I would. Okay. Oh, notice the other thing he slots into that conversation. Clearly, I need an email to go and show my boss. So he's almost saying, now don't lie. Now don't lie. Okay. Clearly, I need an email to show my boss. Okay. What I might do is sometimes I add in there the 3 simple phrases. Mr. Customer, let me share this with you. We all buy cars from exactly the same place. That's Toyota Ireland. We all buy them exactly the same price. We all got the same restrictions. Now, just by saying, listen, we buy them at exactly the same place, we all buy them at exactly the same price, we all got the same restrictions, you're trying to stop that lie again. Because the hardest problem is when they lie, you got a face-saving issue. Okay. Oh, and by the way, years ago, I learned from a man that said, tell him you've bought from the same place, same price, and you've got the same margins. I don't use that anymore. I use the phrase restrictions. Let me tell you why. And by the way, I stole that from someone who's buying a watch from a Rolex watch. Okay. I believe it was Paul Brayley. Okay. If you say margins, well, people think, well, give more of your margin away. On that 15 grand car, you must have at least £5,000 margin. Give more of your margin away. Do you remember before starting in the motor trade, being shocked how little we actually earn out of a new car? Okay. So if you just say we have the same margins, customers might think, yeah, give more of your margin away. So actually, if you go in to buy a new Rolex and you say, not that I ever have, but you're going to buy a new Rolex, you say, right, what's the best price you can do on that Rolex? Their first line of defense is normally something along the lines of, sir, this is a Rolex. It's exactly the same price here as it is New York, Milan, Tokyo. If I go below that, they'll come and unbolt the signs. That's almost their first line of defense. So back to Pat Casey's technique, you might throw this into it. So let me share this with you. We all buy cars from exactly the same place. That's Volkswagen UK. We all buy them exactly the same price. We all got the same restrictions. But listen, how much better would it have to be for your local dealer to get you want to buy that Golf from Milton Keynes? It's got to be 1,500. Okay. So if we could beat your local dealer by 1,500, you'd be happy to go ahead and secure this new Golf. Yeah, I'll do that. Now, clearly I'm going to need an email from your local dealer just with the figures there so I can go and beat my boss up. Okay. So listen, what sort of balance are they doing that Golf for? Okay. Or how much a month are they doing that Golf for? You're more likely to get the real figure. Now, when they give you that figure of it's going to be, I don't know, $560 a month, it's straight into, wow, that is a great price. Wow, that balance to change to $23,000. That's great. Listen, the new price of that car for $17,800, that's brilliant. Now, listen, I've got to tell you, we do buy cars from the same place. We all buy them exactly the same price. And we've got the same restriction. So beating that price, that $17,800 by £1,000, that's just not going to be feasible. How flexible can you be? What do you mean? Well, listen, you've got that for $17,800. You wanted us to do that $16,800, which is just not feasible. Hey, where in the middle could we meet? Now you've got more of a fighting chance because you got the real figure. Guys, I tell you that because I listen to part of our program. Most of you guys know that we're in dealerships all the time doing coaching. We're listening to real calls. We're listening to customers all the time. And I hear this response so too often, too often. A salesperson goes straight into, okay, you're calling from a long way away. What price you got currently? It starts out almost as an argument. Well, you tell me what you could do. Well, we got our figure. You tell us what you can do first. You're bashing heads with people, okay? Or if the customer does give you a price, it's that lie. So let's say the price of that car is $18,000. They'll turn around and say, well, I can get from a local dealer for 15.5. And then I hear salespeople say, so if you can get it for that, I suggest you go snap their arm off on it. Okay, well, what will you do it for? No. You can get that for 15.5. We won't get anywhere near that. Okay, well, can you give me an idea what's the best price you can do? No. You're telling me you can buy it for 15.5. It's less than we're buying it for. Okay, so you buy me one as well. Well, why didn't you buy it? Guys, we all have heard that in dealerships. And I think we do that because, you know what? We take it personally. Someone's told us that lie. But if you think about it, we invited the lie to start with. Haven't you heard the phrase, how to tell when the customer's lying? Yeah, that's right. Their lips are moving. Listen, they're not bad people, okay? They're just telling that little porcupine to try and get the best price they can. They think they need to lie to get the best price. When you've got that long distance sale, we've got to try and stop the lie. Because when the lie comes out, you've got a face-saving issue, okay? Now, listen, here's another one. Before you get this you could be using on new or used, okay? So you got that, someone says, well, hold on for a second. I got a lot better price elsewhere. I got a lot better price from a dealer far away, but now they're your local dealer, or new or used, okay? In fact, this is something we use in our business regularly. Before you say, what price are they giving it to you for? What price are they doing? We add this into it first. Okay. In fact, I've got to tell you, we had this recently for a dealer group that want to go through our sales training program. We're up against a competitor. Okay. We're invited back for the second meeting. That's always good. Okay. Clearly, they want to go ahead with it. They just want to talk about the detail. And they turned around and said, hey, listen, we've got to tell you, we've got another sales training company that's cheaper than you. We like what you're doing, but there's another company that's a lot cheaper than you. That's the word they used, a lot cheaper. Now, you know what? Every part of me wants to say, hey, how much cheaper? Or what price are they doing it for? Okay. But what are the chances they tell you the truth? In fact, I've got to tell you, there's a situation where there's a dealer group based in the UK. We went down there for the first meeting. My sales director was going for the second meeting. Okay. I was elsewhere. Always a good sign. Okay. And they turned around and said, hey, listen, we like the idea of what you're talking about, but we've had another sales training company. They're based in the UK. They do some work there. They're just a lot cheaper than you. I've got to be honest with you. I'm really glad I wasn't there, because I reckon I would have lost the deal. Because straight away I would have said, well, how much cheaper is Martech? What's the prices they would have, what's the chances, I should say, they'll tell me the truth? Wouldn't I have invited the lie? They would have told me a silly low figure. And then, okay, I'd turn around and say, well, I'm not going to do it that low. Okay, we can't do that. We're a small company. Okay, we've only got a certain number of days we can sell. So if you can get it for that, good luck. And I would have lost the deal. But thankfully, okay, I wasn't there. Okay, because my ego didn't get involved. Now, thankfully, Darren just turned around and said, well, hold on for a second. If Martech was cheaper than us and they preferred Martech, we wouldn't be invited back. In fact, when a customer tells you, I can get a used car elsewhere cheaper, what they're actually saying is, but I prefer yours. I can get this new car a lot cheaper in Anglesey. What they're actually saying is, I prefer to buy from you. Okay. So Darren just come out with this phrase. Okay. Hey, listen, there's only a certain number of industry specific motor training companies based in the UK. And we know who they are. So, you know what? We like to make sure we're very competitive, because we do work within a market. We don't create the market. But listen, if all things were equal, if the figures were kind of there or thereabouts, who would you really prefer to do your sales training? Oh, definitely you guys. Okay, why do you say that? Well, you've got those videos, the sales fitness videos that back up the training afterwards. And we really like the idea of what you guys were talking about. That the trouble with any training is you train people 1 month, they forget it the second, and the third, we end up sacking them, or they go back to doing what they've always done. And we like the idea of those videos actually layer the knowledge. They talk lots about with SAYT. We do a lot of work with SAYT, the manufacturer, and we have a target that people have to have an 80% retention after a training course to get paid. It's part of our standards, okay? That's part of what they're looking for. I'm very, very proud to tell you that we've got an 82% retention after a training course. Yeah, I know. Some of you are thinking, so what? Hey, but listen, this is the thing we achieve regularly. It's 82% after all the people we train there and say it, after 90 days after the course. And listen, I'm going to blow our own trumpet here now for a second, but listen, that is sensational. 82% after 90 days retention, what's been taught, because we layer the knowledge on our sales fitness program afterwards. Anyway, back to the story. That sounds like a sales pitch for what we do. Okay. Sorry, I'm a salesperson, can't help myself. But back to this deal. Okay. Hey, listen, if all things were equal, if the figures were there or thereabouts, who would you really prefer to do your sales training? Definitely you guys. Hey, why is that? Hey, we like the idea of those sales fitness videos to follow up. We like the idea that you're layering the knowledge. Well, listen, because of those videos, they cost us money to produce. Because that will be never, ever be the cheapest training company out there. We're not going to be that. My concern is when we're going to do this for you. You're not going to want it done before the end of the year, are you? See how he's taken it off price into when they can go ahead with it. Let's get back to the car world. Okay. Someone says I can get that used car elsewhere. In the past, I'm guilty of saying, is it the same car? Yes. Is it the same mileage on it? Lower. Is it the same specification? Better. Is it the same color? Nicer. And then you're in a funny place called fucked. Okay. Even though it might be light. In fact, I've got some sales people then, they sit there and they go on Auto Trader. They go on to Cars Australia. They go on to Car Zone and they find the car to prove the customer was lying. Guys, don't do that. Try this first. Okay. Well, that surprised me. Keeping the money right on used cars is normally the easiest part of my job. Because in the internet world, if we're not on the front page of Auto Trader, we just don't get the inquiry. Okay. So that's why getting the money right is not the easiest part of my job. Hey, but listen, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, if all things were equal, the figures were there or thereabouts, which used car would you really prefer to be driving for the next 2 or 3 years? I promise you, 9 times out of 10, people are going to say, oh, definitely yours. Then we just paint them into a corner. Hey, why do you say that? And you're going to hear things like, well, your car's got 20,000 kilometers on it, and theirs had 48. Well, yours is a lovely top-of-the-range car that's got the satellite navigation, the heads-up display, and theirs was something they called the poverty pack model. Well, your car, it's actually, it's from a franchise dealership, and theirs was from someplace called Fred in a Shed. We just agree with them. Yeah, I can understand that. I'd prefer to buy a car with 20,000 miles on it as opposed to 48, because whatever money you save now will cost you later. Yeah, I could understand that. I'd prefer to buy a car that's got the satellite navigation in it, the heads-up display, the leather interior, because that's what lots of customers want. Whatever money you save now might cost you later. Yeah, I could understand that. I'd always prefer to buy from a franchise Honda dealer because I know the checks we have to go through to make an approved used Honda. I always wonder, these independents, do they have to do the same checks we have to? So tell me, if you can just be a touch flexible on the price you got on that high mileage, wrong color, wrong spec car, I'll go to my boss and let's see if she can be a touch flexible. And let's get you into the car or let's get you the car that you'd really like to be driving for the next 2 or 3 years. So listen, how much are they selling that higher price car for? What, 32.9, 32.8, something like that? No, they're actually doing it for 31.5. Wow. Okay. They really are trying to get rid of that higher mileage car. Wow. It really sounds like they are trying to get rid of that color car that's not the right one. Okay. Now, new cars, very similar. When someone says, I got that new car cheaper elsewhere, hey, that surprised me. Get the money right in new cars is normally the easiest part of my job because we work within a market, we don't create the market. And let me share this with you. We all buy our cars from exactly the same place. It's Honda, UK. We all buy the cars at exactly the same price. We all got the same restrictions. Now, what I mean by that is the same price we could do, someone else can do, and vice versa. So listen, if all things were equal, if the figures were there or thereabouts, where would you really prefer to buy your new Jazz from? Oh, definitely from you. And listen, why do you say that? Well, you're just my local dealer. Yeah, I can understand that. I always wonder, even if they deliver that car from 3 hours away, 3.5, 4 hours away, if something's not quite right with it, what happens? If there's the delivery driver scratches it, do you have to drive it back to Newcastle? At least if you pick the car up from here, I won't let you have the car unless I know it's right. So tell me, if you can just be a touch flexible on the price you got from Newcastle, I'll go to my boss and see if he can be a touch flexible. Let's get you into the car from where you'd prefer to buy. Is that fair enough? Go on. Then ask. So listen, what balance to change is that car wow dealer talking about? What, 17.9, 17.8, something like that? No, they're selling the car a lot cheaper. Yeah, I know, but what balance to change are they talking about? What, 17.9, 17.8, something like that? No. They're just selling the new car a lot cheaper. You're right, sir, but what balance to change? Well, they haven't looked at my trade-in. They haven't looked at my part exchange. That makes sense. What we find sometimes, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, that car wow dealer is selling that new car cheaper to get the inquiry, to get you to want to consider going to Anglesey. But when you ask them how much they give them for your trade-in, it's not what we're giving you for it. When you actually have a look at the balance to change, it might not be that dissimilar. If they've not even looked at your car yet, I'd make sure you'd speak to them. Because again, we know that's what's happening sometimes with the car wow dealer. Anyway, listen, guys, I'm giving you lots of stuff from our Selling in the Online World training course. I don't know if I've done that justice there because we obviously spend a long time with it, with salespeople, making sure they know the exact format and how to deal with it. The key phrase there, I suppose, is, well, a couple of ones, okay? The first one is, hey, listen, if all things were equal, the figures were there or thereabouts, where would you really prefer to buy your car from? Or which car would you prefer to buy? Get them saying they want your car first. Secondly, before we get into any negotiation, we've got a trial close. That's one thing that I'm hearing all the time, that salespeople with a remote inquiry, they're just not trial closing first. So what you're telling me, sir, is if I can beat that deal by €1,000, you'd be happy to go ahead with it. So what you're telling me is if I can get the numbers on that car right, that's the car you'd be happy to go ahead and secure. We still got a trial close. It happens naturally on a walk environment. So many times in a remote world, it goes out the window. And again, please try Pat Casey's one on that new inquiry. Okay. And listen, wow, is your local dealer not looking after you? No, I'm just shopping around. Don't blame me. I do the same thing. Hey, listen, how much better than your local dealer would I have to be to get you to want to come and pick up your car from Cheshire? 1,000. Okay. So if I can beat that by 1,000, you'd be happy to go ahead with that and secure the new car today, 500 on either credit or debit card. Yeah, I'll do that. Now, clearly I'm going to need an email to go and beat my boss up on it of what deal you got at the moment. But hey, listen, how much are they selling that car for? What, 79, 78, something like that? No, they're doing it for 17,000. Wow. You're a sensational negotiator already. That's a great deal. Listen, beating that by 1,000 is just not going to be feasible. How flexible can you be? What do you mean? Well, listen, you're getting it at 1,000, okay? You'd like it from me for 16. That's just not feasible. But if I could do that for 16.8, you'd be happy to save that €200, wouldn't you? Listen, try it. See how you get on with it. And also, listen, forward this on to your salespeople. I know that most of the time we get owners, investors, managers, and lots of OEMs listen to this. If you're the OEM, forward this on to all the people that you're looking after, all the salespeople. Also, get them to follow all the other tips and ideas that we talk about on the podcast. In fact, share this podcast with people who might get some benefit from it. Listen, it's not the only way to deal with these customers. There's lots of ways. That might be a good start. And we'll speak again later. Thanks. That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, symcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn.